So can we start now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell me about yourself, like what all things you have worked upon in your past
Yeah,
projects.
yeah. Myself, Rohit. I have 4 years of experience in Java full stack development,
Hmm?
majorly focused on Java backend.
Okay.
I'm currently working with Creospan, associated
Yes.
with Verizon as a client partner,
Okay.
dealing with their telecommunication projects related to their in-house products.
Hmm.
And previously, I worked with Capgemini
Okay.
and associated with the Discover as a client partner, and
Okay.
worked on their financial related projects, financial service related projects. My
Okay. Okay.
current project is related to Verizon's in-house tool called Global Contracting Tool.
Hmm.
So the tool is basically, as Verizon has several clients to serve as a network provider. So they have a lot of B2B clients along with their nested, like the child companies associated with the company as well. So across the various regions as well. So to have the uh, contracts to be aligned for each of them along with the child companies, they want to have an application which helps us to have the contracts and amendments. Amendments basically is the addition to the existing contract. Suppose you have the quotation aligned with the service if you want to have, and if you
Acha.
want to have some more addition services to be provided with the to add on as a service into the existing service,
Hmm.
those can be considered as a quotation for that. Sorry, amendment for the same quotation.
So
So,
what all tech stacks have you used in your project?
so we have used Java 1.8 and Spring Boot, microservices, and AWS as in-house for their application we are using that.
Yeah, great. So you have worked on REST APIs as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So what are the best practices you are following while writing REST API code?
So to handle the REST APIs, we are trying to make use of say authentication and authorization based on JWT, and
Hmm.
also we have working as we are working with the microservices. We are following some patterns like circuit breaker pattern,
Hmm.
as well as the some more resources. We are trying retry pattern as well to secure the application once it is back, and then we are following the solid design principles to have the application within the uh, to reduce more conflicts within the application.
Hmm.
And then we are making use of saga design pattern with the choreography
Okay.
as a pattern we are following. Yeah, and also we are following the security level authentication, like at the rate at the rate pre-authorized and at the rate security annotations for the method level security, and
Hmm.
also the capability we are using for the authentication and authorization of a user.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
we are making
how?
use of JPA here for the transactional level data and to have
Okay.
the query as well as everything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how JWT authentication works internally?
So basically, JWT has the specific method like send token and valid token methods we have in it. So when the user is logged in, based on the credentials which we give, it will try to create a token for us, and it will send it to the client along with the success message once we try to log in after successful. And then we are trying to access any kind of request with that.
Mm-hmm.
It will try to send the request along with the JW token as a bearer token from
Okay.
the front end,
Mhm.
so that it will be validating based on the JW token if it is secure enough, and then it will try to authorize with the help of which we have created, like we have whether the person is authorized to have those method access or not in
Yeah,
that.
that authorization, how it happens. Like I'm passing the JWT token. So how that validation happens, like this is the right user. Because again,
Have the
same person
valid
will try.
token method in that. I think
Uh-huh.
we have the valid token method in that. It will help us to validate.
Okay. So that information where it goes. Like from UI you are passing or from Postman you are passing certain data now. So from which part you are passing the data? There are three sections, right?
So we will be passing through the API gateway
Okay, okay. So at which point this validation happened?
at the login level at the time of before checking into the microservice which we are trying to request, at that level we'll try to, at the API gateway level, basically API gateway has the functionality to authenticate and authorize as well by getting this functionality with the help of Spring Security.
Mm-hmm.
We can do the authentication and authorization at the API gateway level. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, okay. So how will you make sure that if that person is an admin, so admin related roles will be given. Okay, so that person can have access to few user-based roles as well, but user roles should not be given to other person those who are not having user roles. You are getting right what I'm trying to say. So if that person is admin, that person
Level
should have
based.
all kind of accessibility, but users should not have certain features which admin has. Okay, so those kind of functionalities have been implemented.
So here we have make use of ant matchers here.
Mm-hmm.
We have created like if we have created a method, we can make use of ant matchers, and in that we can have has role with the admin. If we have, we can do that in that way.
For that, we need to configure that class, right? Directly, we can't make
Yeah,
use of
yeah,
animation.
yeah.
So how will you
As I said,
configure that
like
class?
okay, we'll be creating a configuration class, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll be extending it with the web security configure adapter, and
Mm-hmm.
then in that we'll be having the methods, and then we'll be trying to have that role based access based on the ant matchers in it.
Okay, okay. So if I need to do like form-based authentication, so after that we need to validate certain signature. So let's suppose we are giving access to certain functionalities, certain API, certain endpoints. We are giving access only to users. Okay,
Yeah.
and the rest of the features should be given access to admin. Okay, so and similar to that, we need to have actuator also. Actuator endpoint access should also be given. So
Yes.
how will you give access that? So how will you write that?
Actually, actuator will not be having all the endpoints to be exposed for everyone. We need to write that. But actually, I haven't encountered anything as of now. But I need to check on that.
Okay.
But I know, like with these methods, if you want to have the access, we have methods like at the rate secured and at the rate pre-authorized annotations. We can annotate with that
Mhm.
so that it will check. But I haven't got opportunity to work on the form login as well. I need to check on that.
There is a method like form-based authentication. We need to call that. Okay. So you told like you have made use of solid design principles. So can you
Yes.
explain like what do you mean by solid design principles?
Sure. Basically, the principles helps us to design the robust application. Basically, it
Mhm.
helps us to build that. So we have five differentiated into five parts. Like S is for single responsibility. So
Mhm.
consider if you have a class, it
Mhm.
should have only the single responsibility aligned to that. So,
Mhm.
for example, if we have the employee class,
Mhm.
employee class should have only the details related to employee. Suppose employee can have address as well,
Mhm.
so he needs to have separate class for address and integrated with this, but not having the address in the same class.
Mhm. That
So
means one class is specific to one
only
responsibility.
one responsibility itself.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Okay.
O is for open for extension but closed for modification. So if
Mhm.
you want to have any uh, modification needs to be done, you can
Mhm.
extend that class, and you can try to modify that with the help of overriding or anything you need to have, but
Mhm.
not to modify in the existing so that it may affect the existing functionality which is in the production.
Okay. Mhm.
L is for list of principle. So
Mhm.
it basically states that like the subclasses should also fit in the parent classes without having any change in the reference basically. And
Any
I
example you
is
can
for
give?
when we are trying to override the child classes with the parent, it should work ideally.
No, there can be certain scenario, right? It can be violated.
Mm, not much. I need to check on this. Yeah. And let's go for I. I for segmented interfaces. I think so. Yeah. So for that, it states that like if you want to make use of some of the methods which are not required on the interface, try
Mhm.
to segregate them and try to make use of the interface by extending it, the one which you want. Basically, you can segregate into parts and you can try to make the part which is having the one you need all of them in it. And another one is dependency inversion. It states that like low level modules should not be depending on the high level modules. Basically,
Mhm. Okay.
uh, consider an example of high level module like vehicle, and
Okay.
vehicle having the low level module called horn or GPS or any other things.
Mhm.
Those should not be depending. High level model should not depend on the low level model, right? Like the
Mhm.
basic functionality is to move the vehicle, but not to have the GPS tracking. It's an additional functionality, correct? So,
Okay. Okay. Then
uh,
what it should
this
depend upon? Like if they are not depending upon each other, it will become tightly coupled. Then on what particular thing it will depend? Something it will depend upon, right?
basically it will try to depends on the interfaces to have a connection in between both of them, so
Hmm.
that if we have them, we can make use of, or else we can try to.
That means there is a layer of abstraction.
Yeah, layer of abstraction will be implemented with the help of
Yeah.
interfaces.
Yeah. Both will depend upon abstraction, but both will not depend upon each other.
Tightly, not tightly,
Yeah.
loosely.
It should be loosely. That's why interface is in the
Yes,
between interface lines.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Send you one code
Yeah,
like 314756. Okay. These are array of integers, and there is a target value 9. Okay.
yeah,
So if you can see, we have to print all those pairs whose sum is equal to target value.
yeah. It's a two-sum problem basically.
Ah,
So we want to solve to get the efficient way to get the
mhm.
indexes of whose sum is correct on the target.
Yes. Yes.
So we can make use of here having the two pointers like I and j.
Mm-hmm.
I will be first we need to sort them
Mm-hmm.
so that starting smallest will be at the left and largest will be at the right,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can try to initiate two variables like I is at the starting and j is
Let's
at the
suppose I
last.
don't want to sort. Then how will you do?
We can do that, but we'll be having more time complexity. We need to search from each and everything. We need to initiate ij from the starting to end. If we have the same element, if we are getting the target with the same, we can try to add it into the result array. But it might take lot of effort, like it will take lot of time complexity to iterate all the elements. But if we could sort it, we'll try to make use of having less iteration.
Yeah. So yeah, basically you can sort it. It will have a time complexity of what is the time complexity if you sort it?
N log n.
Yeah, log n. So if we are not sorting it, so normal for loop we can make use of, but apart from that, we can make use of certain collection data structure. Okay, so if you make use
Collection
of
data structure will also takes to sort, correct? In general, it will take some time complexity, correct?
yeah, but in interview I was asked this, like without sorting, you have to print us those pairs. In
Okay.
one of my
Like what is
interview,
the approach?
huh? So
What is
for
the
that,
approach?
yeah, for that we have to make use of hash set. So in hash set, we have to add the numbers. There can be duplicate numbers as well, right? So we have to specifically add those keys, which are actual values, into the hash set. Okay. And then we have to iterate it by checking that whether the data is already present in that set or not, with the target value minus the current element. So
Okay.
target element minus current element is present in the in the existing set or not, because set already contains 314756, right? So if I am doing 9 minus 3, I am checking that 6 is present in the entire set. It
Yeah, I
will be
got the approach. Yeah, I got the approach, but it will be more time complexity, correct? We need to iterate everything.
here we are basically checking within the set. So
Set is as well.
one time loop we have to apply. Okay, so for each and every number we are checking by doing 9 minus that number, and we are checking that
Mhm.
is present in the set or not.
What about like I just want to know here only whether only one iteration is required, like it will get all of them.
Yeah, we will get all of them because we are storing it in the set. Okay, after storing in the set, then we are looking from first index to last. You are getting. So
No.
has that you try it once. Okay, we are storing it in the set, all the key elements, because there is a chance like there are certain numbers which are repeating as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
got it. But
Yeah.
consider we have stored everything in the hash set, and as we don't have any kind of duplicates as of now, it will
Hmm.
be 314756 only.
Yeah.
And then we will be iterating. So you
Yeah.
said like the first element, it is existing, and then 9 minus 3 6,
Yeah.
and then you check again if we have 6. Oh,
Has
okay.
set dot contains method we can make use of
Yeah.
and check whether the
Oh,
data
so if
already
we
exists.
have that, okay,
We do
if we
we are not
have that,
iterating the entire part. With
yeah, it
contains
will
that
be
will
big
only be
of
set.
one. Correct. Yeah, yeah, it
Uh,
will be big of one. Okay, okay. Correct,
this
correct.
is
Yeah, yeah,
important. We have to
yeah,
know
yeah.
from all perspectives. Okay, this question can be done in three ways. Okay. So after
It's
that
a
there
good
will
approach.
be yeah,
Yeah.
this after that there is another level. There is a three sum problem also there.
Threesome I know. Yeah.
We
Basically
have
the
to
same approach by pointing three of them.
so basically you have to make use of two sum approach to solve this three sum.
Yeah. Extension of twosome basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So now with the help of recursion, can you print the numbers in the reverse order?
Yeah. So we consider we have the number and we'll try to set the base condition. If the number is equals to 1, return 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or else return function of n minus 1.
Okay, great. So now you can print it in the opposite way, like 1 to 10 if I want to print.
In the same way, like if we'll try to put the starting value as 1,
Hmm.
and if the statement basically base condition is the most important. So if we
Ah,
base condition is equals to the number, if you want to print, return
hmm.
it, or else
Okay,
return n plus 1.
okay, great. So do you know the difference between primary and qualifier notation?
Yeah, so basically both of them are used to identify which one is the preferred one if you have the uh, beans of same return type.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make use of the one which is preferred, which is having of same return type of same basically of same type, we can make use of them. So if you want to make use of the naming convention, if you want to print with that name, we can make use of qualifier and
So
give the
is it
name.
mandatory or is it optional? Put name for qualifier.
Name is mandatory because both of them will be having qualifier.
Hmm.
So to if we didn't give name, why it is a point of having qualifier, right?
Hmm.
So at the rate primary is not required because we will be giving primary for only one of them. So it will be
Okay.
giving it will be taking that as a primary one.
Okay, then how it is working? We are at a qualifier, we are passing the name to qualify that this bean is set to auto wire. Okay, at runtime. So this will be getting the priority. So we can put at the primary also, right? For that. That's why we are making use of qualifier.
I know both of them for the same purpose, but don't know why it is the approach.
You
Yeah,
can search that. So this is the question. So there are multiple strings. One string contains Java space Ruby space struts. Another
okay,
string contains Spring space Java. Another string contains Spring space Python.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just a minute. I'll try to make a note of them, like which we missed before, na? Or else
Okay.
if you are making note of it, you can let me know at the end of the.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. You can create
So
some notes also if you are thinking like this
yeah,
particular
I'm
part.
doing. So the first one is primary and qualifier difference. And also we have discussed one other thing which I haven't answered correct before,
Solid principle.
like
That list of substitution. How does it work? Because these
principle.
examples interviewers are asking, like, is there any scenario where this principle is violated?
Yeah, okay. Basically, it's a list of lists we can try to create by splitting them,
Hmm.
and then we can try to make use of flat map here,
Can you
and
write
then
the code for
filtering
this?
it. Yeah. List of, we need only count, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I will do, consider this as a,
Are you sharing screen? And share screen.
okay. Let me try to share. Java is equals to, consider I have created the stream list with the stream, and then I'm streaming it,
So let's suppose I want the count of all the strings. How many times
and
it's
then
happened?
I can make use of collectors here, like collectors.
Can you directly write counting? Is it static method?
It's dot counting.
What is X over here? X will be finished there only, no? X gives X. So that will be finished there only. You are not streaming on it.
Yeah, if I used to write, but collectors
What's
dot counting.
what is the meaning of this? X lambda function X. What is the meaning of this?
X is the input for that, and we are trying to make sure what you want to have as a return type. If you want to make anything, we are trying to do that. Collectors dot counting. Yeah.
Yeah, that is fine, but X gives X meaning what?
To map correct, to give the number.
Both are same only, no?
Yeah, we are passing that as the same correct. So if
Hmm.
you want to make anything, we can try to do that. But you are passing the same character.
Basically, it's identity function. So it's
Yeah.
basically taking each and every string as an input value. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it is
It's
giving
a
the
kind of
count of it.
method reference. Yeah, you are trying
Hmm.
to. I think. Yeah, but I'm not much confident on the method reference. You used to write everything in the in the method reference, but
Method reference becomes simple to understand.
I
Okay.
don't know
Some
why, but I I thought like it's too difficult. I'm not able to get that. That's the reason I used the lambda expression only.
lambda expression is fine. It becomes shorter with the method references.
But we need to remember a lot of things. This is the logical way. Yeah.
You have to understand the thing. You don't need to remember much, like how static methods we are making use of in method reference.
Mhm.
So, do you know how and which scenarios we are making use of method reference? Do you know that?
Without creating an object or without calling directly, if we have the method directly, we can call with the class name, call on the method name directly.
Like all lambda functions can be replaced with method reference, or is there any scenarios?
Functional interfaces can be done because it is having only one method in it.
No, lambda
So we are
function
calling,
means there is functional interface. That's why lambda function is working. So I'm asking with respect to method reference and lambda function. Like both can be interchangeably used, or like it's a subset. Like you are understanding, right? Like all lambda function can be
I
replaced by
got.
method reference, or means it can be interchanged at every scenario. What is the case?
I think we can change it because we are making use of the class name and method name, correct? So in the same class, we may have different methods, and we can make use of calling the same, like class name
What? Yeah. What
colon
if
colon.
we are what if we are having certain parameters? Let's suppose I'm
Oh,
calling a
hmm.
method which has certain parameters. Will it
Yeah, I
work with
think
method reference?
method reference we can't work. I think so because lambda expression should have the parameter so that it can work.
Yes, yes. So in those
So
scenarios, we
of
can't make
the,
use of method
so
reference.
in that method we need not to have the parameters in it.
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay.
So in that scenario only it will not. Any,
Okay.
and if we remove this scenario, then in all cases, lambda function can be replaced with method.
Yeah. Is there any improvement in Java 17 or 18 further?
with respect to
Like
what?
to, like to implement the parameters in the method reference.
Mm,
No,
I don't
correct?
think so. It came with respect to method reference specifically.
Okay.
We can add lambda function in switch case. That thing came in Java 17, but with respect to method reference, nothing much.
I think one more thing, like in Java latest version, they have added the local variables in the lambda expressions, correct?
We can add. There is a where keyword also we can make use of in the left side, so that we don't have to repeat the data type both the side.
Yeah, I haven't worked on that, but I studied somewhere like we can add the local variables in it. Yeah.
Uh, have you made use of any garbage collection process in your project? Like, do you know how does it work?
Yeah, basically, it works on several algorithms like mark and sweep and
Mhm.
mark and compact. Yeah, we have these kinds of methods it will be trying to use.
No, what is garbage collector first? That I am asking.
So basically, Java has a functionality called garbage collection, which can be
Mm-hmm.
done with the garbage collector, which basically tries to check on a threshold level of time whether we have any references which are objects which are not referred as of now
Mm-hmm.
at that point. So it will try to mark them, and garbage collector will try to sweep them basically
Okay.
to reduce the load in the heap memory. We can try to sweep them which are not referred as of now at that point.
So let's suppose there are two objects. Okay. So first object is pointing to the second object and second object is pointing to the first object. But there is no live reference pointing to each other. Okay. No other any other references are pointing to both objects, but those two objects are pointing to each other. So will that be eligible for garbage collection? Will those
No,
objects be eligible?
actually, no, actually, it won't because both are referring to each other. Like this
Mhm,
condition is basically refers to as the memory leak condition.
mhm.
So both of them are trying to reach each other. So uh, no, I think it's kind of deadlock issue. Like both of them are referring to each other. They will be waiting till getting the data from each of them.
No, you are not. You are mixing multi-threading and garbage collection. It's a different scenario over here. I told no, there is no live reference pointing to those objects. Object A is pointing to B, B is pointing to A, but there is no live reference of any other pointers pointing to these objects. So if there are no other pointers pointing to these objects, so it creates an island of isolation. Okay. So now it is eligible for collection.
So where is the island of isolation in generally in heap memory or the stack?
In heap memory only. Mostly.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you
Okay.
know in which scenarios data goes to stack and in which scenario it goes to object or how it is working? So let's suppose I'm creating one reference variable like a obj equal to new a I am doing. Internally, what it happens in the uh, JVM.
Reference of A will be stored in the stack, but the memory object will be created in the heap.
Okay.
Object created in the heap will be referred from the stack memory basically. And also some methods, if you are calling the recursive methods as well,
Mm-hmm.
not only the recursive, any methods as well, the
Mm-hmm.
flow will be storing in the stack as a pick and pop, put, push and pop methods basically.
Okay.
So references will be stored in the stack, but the actual memory will be stored in the heap.
Okay. Then after that, let's suppose a is calling another method. Then that method is calling another method. It is pointing to stack, and the object is created in the heap memory. Then what will happen if the entire process is over? Then after that, what will happen?
Yeah, as it is referred to the stack, correct, the first element will be after completion of that, it will try to pop from the stack, and then the next element will be having, and if it is done, it will be popped up, and again it will be popped up. The stack will be empty once the execution will be done.
What about heap? The objects which were pointing to the heap memory.
If they are pointing to, that means the method is under consideration, like it is running. If
Mm-hmm.
they are not if they are not if the objects are at the global level, not only the specific to that method,
Mm-hmm.
those will be there because they are referring to other methods as well.
Mm-hmm.
If it is specific for that method, those will
Hmm.
be not referred, like those references will be moved, and then the garbage collector will help us to sweep the data
Okay.
from the heap.
So till what time it will wait? It's a newly
So
created object, right? So till what time it will wait till it's to the next stage? So what is the internal implementation of garbage collection?
we have here three stages, like or, old gen, new gen. I am not able to recollect those names as of now.
Hmm.
We'll be having set of threshold first, and
Yes.
uh, hidden space and old space will be having uh, hidden. I'm not able to recollect the name, but I know the concept. Like
There are two things, young gen and old gen.
yeah,
Okay.
young gen, old
And
gen, and
and within
another
young
one
gen, there are two things.
survival gen. Correct.
Eden space and survivor space.
Okay. In hidden space, we have the uh,
Young objects which are just now created.
young and old, basically
Old will come to old generation object.
old generation. But we have
Yeah.
one, two stages. Correct in the this
Initial
one.
will be Eden space. The first
Okay.
objects which are just now created, it will go to Eden space. So
Hidden
there
space.
will be frequent sweeping happening
Hmm,
in the
yes.
background. So it will keep on
If it is
constantly checking.
survived, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
Tell
a
me.
process?
If it is survived at the starting stage, it will try to move into the another stage,
Hmm.
and it the threshold will be less, like the frequency will be less of the garbage collection.
Hmm.
And if the specific object is survived for that stage as well, it will move into the old gen. Then the sweeping the garbage collection frequency will be also very less in that compared to this.
Hmm. Okay. So what happens when it moves to old generation?
Basically the threshold will be less, so it will be trying to make it available in the heap for specific long time compared
Hmm.
to these before stages.
Okay. Okay. So what is serialization process?
Basically if you want to convert the object into uh, a text file, a text format, or any kind of if you are trying to convert an object into a serialized object, serialized thing, we can try to make use of serialization here.
So how can we make a class as a serializable class?
Extend serializable, I think we can make use of it. That we can create an extends class with the serializable.
Serializable is a class or an interface.
It's an implement serializable. Yeah,
Then after that, we do one thing, right? We are making use of serial version UID.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
UUID. Yes.
Yeah. So what's the importance of that?
Not much. I need to look into that.
Okay. Okay. So
Just
there's certain thing called as externalization also. Know about that?
no. I have heard it. I have tried to study that, but I missed it. Yeah, I need to look into that.
Yeah, these are important concepts. Serialization and externalization. Okay.
Serialization, externalization. Yeah,
Yeah. So do you know how to make a class a immutable class?
yeah. We can make the class as final, and
Hmm.
then we can make the variables as well as final and private, and then we can create an instance constructor with initiating all the values in it, so that we can't make them. And also, we should not give the setters methods inside, so that the values cannot be setted, but we can make use of getters to fetch them directly.
Okay. So let's suppose I'm giving like list of customers. Let's suppose. Then how can you make it mutable?
List is not a class, correct? It's an interface we are trying to have for the customer class. So if we want to make the class specific as a immutable, we
Now
can
we are
create.
passing, we are creating one object like list of customer obj equal to new array list. Like that we are doing. And we are setting certain values, adding certain values into that array list. Okay. So Now we have to make that particular list reference as immutable. It can be mutable, right? List can be mutable.
So we should not add into them anything we cannot do, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have a collection called unmodif. Sorry, we have modifiable array list, but not well. I don't think we have unmodifiable array list as well. We have that.
Collections dot unmodifiable list is also there,
Okay.
and there is
Unmodifiable.
collections dot off. If you are adding it in off method, it will become immutable.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Let me try to add this as well.
So do you know the difference between the shallow copy and deep copy?
Shallow copy. If you are trying to, if an object having the references of other things as well inside that as a reference, if you are trying to create a shallow copy, only the starting, only the references uh, to that specific object will be copied, but not the references in it. But if it is a deep copy, it will be copying the objects which are having references to that as well, I think.
Are you sure what you are telling? Can you explain with example what you mean?
Consider we are making use of student and address classes. So if you want to copy the with
In
the
Notepad
shell,
plus plus you can write them. So you have Notepad plus plus.
I think it's okay. So student class id name, but we have address as an object address to the. So if we are trying to do with the help of shallow copy,
Mhm.
only these will be having. I'm not able to explain correctly, but if we have the reference with another one, we'll be having the address as another class, correct? So if you are making use of shallow copy, only these will be copied into a new reference. But if it is a deep copy, these will also be copying into the new reference which I have created, I think.
Shallow copy means if we are creating one object, we are setting certain values. Let's suppose we are doing student s1 equal to new student. In constructor, we are passing certain data like student
Yeah.
ID, student name. So if we are doing next line like student s2 equal to s1, we can do like that also. We are pointing to student s1 object from student s2 reference. Okay.
Yes, from object from S to reference. Yes.
And from S2 reference, if I am changing the ID or student name or any other address kind of thing, if we are changing, then will it impact past object references or not?
In the shallow copy, correct?
Yes, in Salogo.
In shallow, I think it won't because it is referring to the same.
It
In
will
deep,
do.
I think
Will do.
okay. I've said I've said the vice versa. Basically, is it?
Yes, yes. Yes, that's the main thing. This is a main concept only. That's why in immutability, you didn't told about copy, shallow copy or deep copy, what is used. Here, basically, deep copy is used. That's why it's not mutating. It becomes immutable.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we are assigning any object reference to the past reference, so what will happen in the new object reference, whenever I'm changing any ID or any other thing, it will change the all the past object reference data also it will change. So that is the wrong thing, right? Any other person come and change any latest reference and it will modify all the past
By
references
them.
at the same time.
So that is shallow copy, correct? In
That
general.
is allowable, yes.
So
And
we
that
need to make use of deep copy here.
yes, in deep copy, each and every time we are making use of constructor to instantiate the data and set the values for that. Okay, so we are not assigning any new reference to past reference. We are not relating directly. Rather, for
Okay.
each instance, we are creating constructor. We are doing
Yeah.
constructor injection for all the new objects, for all the objects. Basically. We are not pointing to any object. We are creating new object altogether. So that's why deep
Yeah.
copy concept is used. So
Yeah.
do you know what is a bean and how can we configure it?
So bean is a kind of pojo, and we want to have it as an object to call everywhere within our application. We can make use of that, and I will be annotating with the bean or component, so that IOC container will try to create as an object in its container, and we can make use of AutoWare and to get the object without creating an object from our end basically.
Okay. So in which scenarios and where we can write those bean annotations?
So consider we are using a REST template as an object. If you want to have in your application,
Hmm.
we'll try to create a bean for that REST template, and then we'll try to call that in the service layer with @autovide REST template, private REST template, and then we'll call those methods which we have in the REST template.
Yeah, what's the point of writing at the bean? With at the AutoWire, Spring will automatically autowire the dependency, right? Like if there is service layer, over the service layer, there is at service. Then we are injecting that service layer within controller with at AutoWire service. Like
Yeah.
this we are doing. Then what's the point of writing specifically at the bean and
So
configuring it?
basically, we have two types like component and bean. Component is the for the whole class level. Like if you want to make every class as a component, we can make use of that. Or
Hmm.
else, if you want to have a specific method as a bean, we can make use of bean for that.
Okay. So in what kind of scenarios we are making use of at bean annotation?
As I said, like if you want to consider, we have the main application. In that we'll be having lot of the things as well. Configuration we'll be having. If you want to have a specific methods to be as a bean, we can make use of bean for that. And also
So
if you want to,
why we need certain kind of configuration? What do you mean by certain kind of configuration?
so if you want to have sorry, if you want to have rest template functionality, you can add that. And also we can add lot more similar to rest template in that as well, but we want all of them to be independent on each of them as a bean in the container, not to have everything to be in the container as a component level. If you have it as a direct component, all of them in that will be having as bean in a single way. But
Hmm.
if you want to have a in the independent thing to have it as a specific bean, we can make use of bean.
Hmm. So have you faced this kind of exception like unsatisfied bean dependency exception or provide equal to true expected? This kind of exceptions have you faced? Rajat?
No.
This is the most common exception. You haven't faced any type. Like unsatisfied dependency expressed through field this with the auto wide required is required equal to true. This kind of exceptions you haven't faced in the project.
Actually, I'm not able to remember, but I haven't got regarding this. I think so.
So what kind of exceptions you
Unsatisfied
have faced?
dependencies I have heard, but that is related to the class level. If you want entities and those related, I think so.
There is a dependency problem, like dependency is not injecting by Spring properly. So in that case, we have to configure Bean separately for that, so that the
Okay,
Spring
can you
context,
elaborate
application
on?
context will be loaded at runtime and Spring container will inject it. So basically, we are using at Bean when we have to define our own custom configuration. Okay, we don't want
Hmm.
to make use of default Springs.
Spring.
Spring is
Means
injecting certain kind of
we can.
dependency, right? We don't want to use that. We want to define our own configuration. We have to
Yeah.
use it accordingly. So in that case, in that kind of scenarios, we have to make use of factor and precondition, basically. Okay, you got the concept, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if you want at this point only, you said like you will be having this kind of exceptions, correct? While configuring on our own.
Yeah. So during configuration, this type of exception comes basically.
So how to resolve that? Like, is there any other annotations needs to be added, like required
No, no,
true
no.
something?
Required will be automatically true. Whenever you are writing at auto wired, then dependency you are
Uh,
mandating to Spring that we have to inject that dependency. But if you are not configuring that dependency at any place, let's suppose I'm making use of REST template or JDBC template or these things.
But we are not
So
creating that.
yeah, so here there is a different kind of exception, right? So if that this exception can come in that scenario also when we are writing a direct service over a service layer and we are not annotating a direct service. Okay, and we are auto wiring service layer in controller layer. So in this scenario also this type of exception will come. That's why I asked you, like, did you face this type of problem or not? So if you are not
No,
writing a
actually,
direct service, no. If you are directly injecting service layer in controller layer or repository layer in service
yeah,
layer,
it will,
it will come
yeah.
this
But
exception.
ideally, we know, right? We need to write that. I haven't encountered this way,
Yeah.
but
So
I
that
think
will
we
come,
need to
that is
look
fine. You
into.
can modify that class, that is fine. But in certain class which are inbuilt class, you can't modify that class. For example, REST template, JDBC template. So they are inbuilt classes. We can't modify that class. So in that scenario, what change you can if unsatisfied dependency letter exception is come. So in that scenario only I was expecting. Like we have to configure a bean, we have to define it separately. Okay. And then we
I
have to
think that is
automate.
the reason we are trying to adding at the rate bean for the REST template in the Spring application, correct? Spring
Yes,
main
yes.
method.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then what all design patterns have you worked upon in your projects?
Singleton design pattern, factory
Mhm.
design pattern. Yeah. And then we have worked on template as well,
Mhm.
builder,
Okay.
uh, yeah, observer. I've seen, but I haven't worked on that. But I have seen what is observer design pattern as well.
How
Yeah,
what is it like?
proxy.
What is observer design?
Basically, it's a kind of pattern which helps us to continuously look into if this may impact into the other things. Basically, chaining kind of. If we have the dependency on one of them, it if this may affect the other things as well.
So what type of design pattern it is? Creational, structural, behavioral, three types of design pattern.
I think it's structural.
Okay. So like how does it work here? Like the observer design pattern, that means something is observing, right? So there will be two objects. One,
Listeners, basically, we'll be having listeners. I think so.
uh,
So based on that,
any real world scenario, can you imagine respect to this design pattern?
yeah, I think Kafka. Like we'll be getting the stream of data. If it is not working, the listeners will try to give us the data we are not getting, and then we can try to make use of retry pattern. And then if it is half open or open, we can try to do that. I think this will work here.
Do you know that concept half open?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
So basically, when we are trying to stream the data or we are trying to having the request from one service to another service, consider the it's a kind of cascade type.
Hmm,
And if we have the nested one, the last one is up down,
hmm,
we'll try to have the connection as half open. Basically, if it is successful, it will be in closed, but once if it is down, it will be half open, and the request will be limited to check only whether the service is up or not. With the
hmm.
threshold limit, we'll be assigning to that. So based on the threshold, it will be tried to check for several times, and if it is up in between time, it will be trying to get back to open, or
Hmm.
else it will be trying to, sorry, it will be get back to close once if we get the response again in the correct way, or else it will be trying into the open. And then for a specific threshold, again it will try to check the status, and then if it is getting, it will try to open in the close again.
So, have you worked upon this kind of scenarios where you are checking the performance of a DB, like optimizing DB performance? So, what
Yeah.
all measures have you taken to optimize the DB performance?
So basically, we'll try to make use of cache to reduce the frequenting number of requests which we are trying to query the same. If you are
Hmm.
trying to use the, we can make use of caching here, and then we'll try to optimize the queries with the help of the optimizing the queries. Basically, not to have a lot more joins in it if it not necessary, and then we'll try to use where clause instead of having every if we have anything, and then we can try to make use of the indexing here
Okay.
to get the data. With the help of indexing will be less. And then I have heard about sharding, but recently I am messed up with that sharding. I don't know why. But I need some data from you regarding that sharding. And then we have make use of the distributed database to make the load difference. Yeah, and also if it is the point of the application level, we can make use of the load balancers, and then we can try to reduce the rate limiting as well. If we are getting frequent requests from the same server frame client, we can try to set the rate limiters for that, so that that will
So what does
be
this
giving
rate limiter do?
basically it will restrict the requests from a specific person with the specific threshold. Like if he is continuously hitting the data request from the server, it will try to limit him, stating like too much requests found with the same request, try to use bit later, something like
Mhm.
that.
So there's certain thing called as horizontal and vertical scaling. You know about this?
So basically we can scale our servers or our, with the help of our application in two ways.
Hmm.
So horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. Vertical scaling means like it is having the same resource, but we'll try to increase the capability of this same resource.
Hmm.
But when it comes to the horizontal scaling, we will be trying to replicate the resources by adding some more resources of the same capacity to that, so that it will be auto distributed with the help of load balancer. Yeah,
Okay.
these are the
So
two types of
an
scalings.
example like where it can be used. An example. It's coming to your mind.
So vertical scaling is, I think, will not be much feasible because we need to have that resource to be available at every time, because we are making use of the capacity for the same resource.
Hmm.
So that is not much feasible in the practical world. But horizontal scaling, as we can set the threshold in the cloud, basically this kind of scaling will be happening in the cloud applications and
Yeah.
cloud providers in only. So we
Hmm.
can set the threshold for that. If the traffic is more than the threshold, we can try to scale up by adding one more server into that. And also with the help of round robin method, it will try to add the request to each of them, so that it will be balanced everywhere.
So have you done any kind of deployment in your project?
So there is a dedicated team for the deployment basically, but I have some. Actually, we have two kind of applications in our in our project. So one is majorly based on the Jenkins world.
Hmm.
They are making use of GitHub, Jenkins, and they are trying to build with that. But we are not much aware on that because we have a dedicated team for that. But we have another deployment based on the AWS. Like we have created a pipeline for that with the help of code commit, code build, and code deploy. We have these services in-house, which are replica of the open source applications which we have in the world. We have make use of that in AWS.
So
But I have a question here. Like they are asking, what are the scripts you have written for the building? I need some inputs from your end regarding this. Yeah, we can
those,
discuss later, but try to
yeah,
know note
later
it.
later we can discuss. Okay, so
Yeah.
basically here there will be script be written Jenkins file. Some in Java classes also there is a Jenkins file. You can, so we have to create a file and we can
Mm.
write script over there.
So
So
if you have any resources, you can share it to me
okay,
so
okay.
that I can look into that on clear, because I'm stucking here a lot more times in general.
You have to understand the flow basically, like in which scenario the build should fail. So there we have to write a script, right? If it is not passing this scenario, then we have to fail the build. So those will come under script part. So sometimes we are writing in the main Jenkins file in our resources folder in the our packages in Java side, or else in the Jenkins side also we can write the script. There also capabilities there where you can write a script and then you can modify the script in such a way that whatever code you are committing, it will automatically start the build process. And during that only the scripts will run and execute and it will keep on checking. So there is a rule kind of thing that gets applied over your code and it will check whether those all rules are followed or not. Okay, so if it is not followed,
Please
then it will
know the
fail the code.
resources if you have
Huh?
any. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so these kind of things are there. So apart from that, so do you know what is auto configuration feature in Spring Boot?
Yeah, basically, Spring Boot provided us the auto configuration feature, which helps us not to uh, majorly focus on the configuration part. If
Mhm.
you have added the any kind of configuration which is customized on your end, you can add it with the at the rate configuration, so that auto configuration will try to automatically configure the thing which you have created.
So let's suppose I want to use our own data source. Okay, so we have configured certain databases and we have created a bean of it and those things if I'm doing. And I need to exclude that in such a way that I don't want Spring to automatically create a data source of its own. Then what we have to do in that scenario?
So in the and at the rate auto configuration only, we can add a tag called exclude is equals to and remove that. And also you can try to add our dependency of the data source which you want to have in the pom.xml, so that if it is of different data type data source, you can add
So
that.
what you
And
will, which class you will exclude?
uh, data source equals to, and then we need to give the this
You have to
thing.
provide the class name, right?
Class name, yeah, but I'm not able to recollect that as of now.
It's data source auto configuration class.
Data source dot
Data source auto configuration dot class.
data source
Data source configuration dot class.
data source configuration dot class. Okay, and then we need to create another configuration with
Yeah,
with the
we have to
same name,
create.
right?
Yeah, we have to create a separate. No, it's not fixed. Like we have to make use of same name. Okay, so we can make use of data source. Okay, we have to create. We have to make use of this class as a return type, and then we are writing certain method,
Anything,
and
and
then
we can add
we
at the
can.
rate configuration for that, and it
Yeah,
will be
we
automatically
have to
done.
create a separate configuration class.
Yeah, yeah.
And for that only, we have to create a bean. Okay, there's a
Mhm.
data source bean we have to create. And within that bean method, within that, we have to set the data. Like if you're making use of H2 memory database, so there we have to set all those driver class, user, URL,
Entity
password,
manager,
those
entity
things.
factory, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, those things we have to define. Okay. So what are the ways to create the objects? Do you know?
Objects, like we can make use of the clone method and new keyword,
Hmm.
and also we have one other way with the calendar something, but I'm not clear on that. But we have three ways to do that.
Do you know class dot for name?
Class dot for name.
Hmm.
No, that is the way, or what?
Yeah,
Can
class
you
dot for.
elaborate on that, like in general?
So yeah, you can do a little bit research in JDBC. We have made use of
Okay.
class dot for name, and then we are passing the name. So with that, we can create the instance. So in that, basically, we are not making use of new keyword.
Yeah,
Okay. So directly we can call the method, instance method. Okay. With help of that, it will create the object.
we are calling the method, correct? So it will create the object
Yes, directly. We are
by the
not
flow.
making use of, yeah, new keyword we are not making.
So, but I have a question here. Like with the help of new keyword, we are creating an object, and from that object we will be calling.
Hmm.
But here you said like class dot for name will create the method. Indirectly, it is creating an object. Is it?
Yes. Internally, it will create the object only.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Just like you are auto wiring the Spring Bean and
Mm,
Spring container doing the dependency injection, but you are not creating the object for it, right?
yeah. Got it.
This is one of the way of creating the object. Okay. So how have you handled exceptions in your project?
So we have created a global package for global exception,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have annotated with the at the rate controller address or rest controller address for that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have created the custom exceptions, and we have called that here with the help of at the rate exceptional handler for each of them, and then we handled with the class name for each of them inside that method which we want to push, and
Mm-hmm.
with the help of super method we are trying to we are trying to pass the message which we have created to here. So in this way we are trying to handle exceptions.
So is Java pass by value or pass by reference?
Pass by value.
Okay. So let's suppose I am passing the list of data. Okay, list AL equal to new array list I'm doing, and we are setting certain data over it, and then we are passing the array list to a different method. Okay, and in that method we are modifying the array list. Okay, and
Sorry, I
after
missed your question.
hello,
I missed your question from the starting.
yeah. So I was asking like, is Java pass by value or pass by reference?
Yeah, it's pass by value.
Okay, so if I'm making use of list, so what do you mean by pass by value?
So you are passing value from that method to another method if you are trying to call them. I think it's we are passing with the value.
Okay. So if I'm making use of like int a equal to 5, okay, and a I am passing to a different method, and there within that method I am doing a equal to 7, okay,
Mm.
and then I am returning certain data back. So what will be my current a value?
7.
It will change.
If it is static, yeah, 7. It will change.
No, it will not change. It is pertaining to the scope of the method.
Yeah, it is internal, correct? Okay, okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
if we are making use of list, okay, a list, set, map, or any class related fields, so there if you are making any modification in the main method, and there you are passing it to a different method, and there you are modifying the list, and then returning the list back to the main method, then it will make change. Then there is a permanent change into that list. Okay, it's not like you are modifying from different method and passing it to the original method. The list value becomes back to the main method when it was that before. Okay, before calling that method. It's not like that.
So
After
you're
calling
trying
the
to say if we have the nested methods calling from parent to child,
hmm,
the value from parent will be as same as that. If you are trying to change the value in the child, it won't change in the parent basically.
yeah, for primitive types, it will not change the data whenever you are calling the method. It will change, but it will be limited to the scope of the method.
Scope
And
of the
so
method which is inside itself,
yeah, it has
not
been
outside
called.
of the parent.
Yeah, it has been being called by the stack, right? So as soon as within the stack that method is there, till that time the value of that field or the variable will change. And as soon as that method is out of the stack, the field value will be reverted to the
Yeah,
previous
yeah.
value. That is for primitives. And for
Primitive.
non-primitives one, those value will be changed permanently. Whenever you
Okay.
are passing the list to the main method, it will be the changed value. It will not contain the past value of the list. Those values get overridden by the new values.
In the list.
Yes.
Not of the primitive types, is it?
No.
Okay.
On primitive type, it will be limited to scope.
Okay.
This is also important concept.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope it's 1 hour, 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would have
so
asked 1 or 2 questions more with respect to design patterns. Like how can you break singleton design pattern? If you know.
so give me like I think you have understood what are the things I need to take care of. You
Hmm.
can try to brief me so that I can handle them for the next interviews.
Yeah. So yeah, you are fine at most places, but you have to be a little bit confident, and you should be knowing the real world scenarios where it will be used. So nowadays, what interviewer is expecting, they are not just expecting straightforward answers. They are
Yeah,
expecting like whatever questions they are asking, I need clear cut explanation along with the real world scenarios where exactly it is being used. So if you are explaining abstraction or OOPS concept or any other type of concept, so you have to tell like where exactly you have used, like aggregation composition classes you are using, then where exactly have you used? Solid principles I asked. Then I asked like where exactly risk of substitution is getting violated. So those things you should be knowing it, like exactly where you can violate the risk of substitution principle. So anything you are learning, no, any concepts in Java you are learning, try to relate it to certain kind of real world scenarios. Then you will be also remember for a long time and it will be
Having
helpful
clarity
for
on
exam.
what we are trying to learn.
Yeah,
Yeah, got it.
yeah. And certain
Apart,
things you
yeah,
should be knowing, like in garbage collector, the entire flow, how is it working? So those
yeah, I
things,
remember, but actually, I haven't prepared before getting the call with you. That's the only
yeah, yeah.
thing.
So basically, these things are getting asked again and again. Garbage collector
Yeah,
is being asked again and again. Like I have seen like 8 out of 10 interviewers are asking garbage collector, and they're not asking just in normal way overview. They are going in depth, like Eden
scenario.
space, survivor space. In Java 8, what changes came in garbage collector?
What about
Okay,
Oracle? It's Oracle India, like they
Oracle
collected.
India, they will ask about data structures and all. They will ask about dynamic programming, binary search, binary trees. Okay. So they will ask little bit on the data structure side. But in Oracle solutions, basically, they will focus more upon the streams-based questions, arrays and strings-based questions mostly.
So you got the interview from Oracle Solutions, or what?
Yeah, Oracle solutions I got at that point of time. Oracle India, I just applied, but I didn't got the next interview round for that.
But it's
Yeah,
they said like only Java microservices developer
yeah,
for
it will
that.
be solutions only. I think it will be solutions.
So I can handle it, correct? Like how many rounds are there in there?
2 rounds mainly.
Like two technical?
Yeah, two technicals. Yeah. Second will be mostly techno-managerial kind of thing, but
Okay.
80% you can consider it as a technical only.
Okay.
And your project should be a little bit understandable. You should be knowing certain business words. Have you worked upon any banking domain projects?
Yeah, yeah. I
You have
work for
worked, right?
Discover. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should be able to explain from the business perspectives. Like there are certain keywords we have to make use of, like credit, debit, and certain business functionality keywords are there that you should be doing. And you have to know how to explain that as well. Yeah, so
Uh,
these are things mostly will be normal core Java concepts only they will cover mostly. Data structure and core Java concepts.
Try to give the insights of me so that I
Yeah, I've already
can
given you. It was
understand.
good, but you have to know the real world scenarios where you have to use, and whatever thing you are telling, tell with confidence, basically. Okay, don't show that you are not confident with that. Whatever you are knowing, try to tell with confidence. Okay. And there are few things which are asked again and again. So try to have in-depth knowledge on those. For example, garbage collector, how JVM works internally, immutability, design patterns, how to break singleton design. Singleton design pattern is
Shallow
very
copy,
important.
deep
You can
copy.
go through my YouTube videos. I have created two separate parts on only singleton design pattern. So you can get idea on it. So yeah, these things you basically have to cover. Solid principles you have to cover, then inheritance concept, and then relationship between the classes, serialization,
Yeah.
externalization, these things. Then
Those are okay,
exception
but
handling.
these things
Yeah,
like shallow copy, deep
yeah, shallow
copy,
copy, deep copy, these things. You didn't told about deep copy only.
yeah, I'm not much aware on that. Like,
Ah,
do you find anything in the same way, like in general? Shallow. Do you find anything such related topics you need to cover? Do you think anything like in your interview point of view, not only this interview, like in
hmm.
general, you'll get to know, correct? So,
Yes,
any
yes.
other topics do we have?
For interview purpose, right? So Java part, I think
Yeah,
mostly we have covered streams, optional class you have to prepare. There are multiple
yeah,
methods within optional. Okay. It's not only helps in solving null pointer exception. There are multiple use cases as well for optional. Those also you have to do. Then completable future, future completable future.
yeah,
This part I didn't touch because
yeah. We don't
it's
have time now.
it's mostly for experienced candidate, but they are nowadays also they're asking about
They are asking,
executor
they are
framework,
asking.
like how many types of thread pools, what's the importance of that, fixed thread pool, cached thread pool, scheduled thread pool. So those things should be clear. Deadlock, what is deadlock? Usages of synchronization, then lock concepts, difference between lock and synchronized. These things, read write lock, read write lock, how to use, where to use, these type of things. Then thread based question they can ask you, Like there are two threads, and with help of two threads, you have to print odd and even numbers. One
Yeah.
of the thread will print odd, one of the thread will print even.
Wait and interrupt method will be having. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. So those kind of
That's
things they
okay.
will ask.
Yeah. So please try to send me that thing, bro. Like the reference script for the scripting and get everything, the whole flow, correct? Yeah. Please send me that.
Reference script for
Like as I asked, like what are the scripts you are using for the Jenkins? And there you said like in the from Java and as well as the Jenkins, and you
there
have
is
the some
not
reference.
a generic script kind of thing. Basically, there is depending upon project requirements.
Yeah,
Some
if you have a reference to study so that I can prepare for that, you can try to
yeah,
send me.
I will share. I will share. Okay.
Okay, then if you have anything, that's
Yeah, these
okay.
things are only there. Then you have to practice coding and all. Respect queries, strings, two some, three some problem. So these two some problems are most commonly asked, so you should be very much aware of it. And binary search related problems. Rotated array binary search. That
Yeah,
means left
that
part
was
sorted,
asked before.
right part sorted, entire is not sorted. So that type of systems you can practice. There are various data structures in arrays also. Those all things you can practice. Okay. So if you are good, if you have practiced this much, I think you are good. For recursion also you need to practice a lot. Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
this
bro.
much will be fine. Okay.
Okay, then please try to send the resources if you have anything that
Yes,
can
yes,
help.
yes. Sure, sure, sure. I will say. Okay.
Thank you. Good night. Thanks
Yeah,
for your time, bro.
yeah, yeah, no problem.
Just too stress for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sure. It was nice talking.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.